Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Mariposa Podcast. I'm so excited to introduce my friends Aubrey and Kevin Gladwell who are with me here today. But before that, I want to let you guys know we have released a brand new resource for social media managers that is now available for free on mariposauniversity.com. And without further ado, we're going to hop into our content and our guests today. So Aubrey and Kevin, I'm so excited that you're here today.
We're excited to be here. This has been a long time coming for you.
Yeah, it has. I think as of the last episode, I mentioned I'd been planning this for like 6 to 9 months.
Yeah,
It only took almost a year to get it all up and running. So thank you guys for being willing victims and individuals.
We are always game.
Awesome. No, you guys are awesome. Well, just a quick reminder for our audience. So today, the goal of our conversation is I'm going to ask these guys some pretty juicy questions. Now, they have not been briefed about exactly what it is we're going to talk about today. So that's a little bit of the fun of it. But really, at the end of the day, I want you as our audience, fellow business owners, to leave feeling encouraged and with some practical takeaways. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, I'm not going to take this on like a normal intro because I could say like, Aubrey, tell me about yourself. I'm going to switch it up. Let's just add that right away into it. Kevin, can you introduce your wife, Aubrey, to me? Tell me all about her.
So this is my wife, Aubrey Gladwell, formerly Aubrey Tafoya. We've actually known each other pretty much forever. So first met her when we were in pre-kindergarten together.
So you guys go way back.
We go way back.
Way back, 4 years old.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we always get the question of like, did you guys know each other? And like, our class was small.
Yeah.
Like, we did. We know each other.
That's special.
But she was an athlete growing up. She played college soccer after high school. Didn't see her for years in between, but if there's one word that I would use to describe Aubrey, competitive, definitely.
Oh, okay. We will get into that later on as husband and wife, real estate team working together, but I love that context. Awesome. So now, Aubrey, why don't you do the same and introduce Kevin to me?
So this is Kevin Gladwell. I have known him my entire life. I mean, I really have. I think Kevin is also extremely competitive. He's competitive from like a little bit of a different nature than I am, but he's also the smartest person I've ever known. Like, one thing Kevin told me when we had first started dating was, I drink and I know things. And like, Kevin just knows so much, and just the way that he works through things and like the way that his brain functions is just mind-blowing to me. He's an incredible dad, and he was an athlete for a long time too.
That's awesome. Wonderful. Yeah, I like that. So I drink and I know things. That sounds like he was like repping the Instagram bio before the Instagram bio was a thing.
Yes, that was Kevin.
I can't take the credit for that one. That's Tyrion Lannister right there, but spirit animal.
That's awesome. Well, I love that you guys laugh together. Like, if I think about the times that we've met and having you guys as clients, like I just always notice just this laughability between you two that's really, it's magnetic. So thank you guys for bringing that energy and bringing that in today. Wonderful. So why don't you guys give us a little bit of a background, and this is where you can each speak on behalf of yourself, that is okay. About how you got into real estate and what it is that you guys are doing right now. Aubrey, we'll start with you on this one.
Totally. So I am in my 5 years really of selling real estate. And I kind of came into it in like, I did not truly know what I was doing in real estate. I really jumped into it 2 feet, didn't truly know, and kind of figured it out. I left a corporate job, that had good pay and had benefits. And we had our oldest son who was young at the time. And I'm very much the person that'll go figure it out. And that's really what I did. And there was a lot of tears, but I just jumped in and figured it out. And then I was on a team. I worked on a team for about 3 years, and I learned a lot. And real estate is such a big place, and there's so much to do, and there's so many things to do. I decided to go kind of a mile deep on one area, then a mile wide and an inch deep on everything.
I love that.
So I worked predominantly with buyers for about 3 years. And then COVID happened, and we were at home and kind of just, it made sense at that point. But yeah, that's kind of where it got to, at least where our team was created.
Yeah, it sounds like, okay, so if I'm aligning the time correctly, you probably left your corporate job right when I left my corporate job.
I think so. I think it was because you were 2017. Yep.
Yeah,
2017.
we turned 5 on April 1st of this year, like in 3 weeks.
Yes.
So right about, we had both had sons who were about the same age.
Yes.
Kind of felt that pull of like, okay, need to make some adjustments career-wise for our family. Sounds like we didn't even know each other yet.
I know. And we did. We just felt it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
Perfect. So Kevin, give me a little bit of a background where you're at with real estate.
For me, I was actually working a corporate job as well, but she got into the business 2 years before I did.
Okay.
Kind of just seeing the business through her eyes, it was something that appealed to me. I mean, you hear people talk about the freedom of it. That is a part of it. I get to make my own schedule now, where I was missing all of our kids' events, or I guess Landon at the time's events before. But one of the things that was important to us, first and foremost, was we actually didn't work together from the beginning.
Okay.
She thought that it was important, and I did as well, that I went and learned the business from somebody else. It was a recipe for disaster if we had worked together from day one. So
Yeah, that's awesome. That, once again, that just mirrors mine and Miguel's story so much, because I had taken the leap before him, then brought him home from his corporate job.
Yes.
After I had been in the business for a good 2.5 years.
Yeah.
This is weird. I guess I didn't realize like the mirroring that.
Well, and it like, and I think it's like like that's really how it kind of started. And there's so many good people to learn from.
Yeah.
That like I was not, and I'm sure you probably felt the same, like I was not in a position to teach Kevin to do what I was doing. I was learning it. I couldn't put that on him. I couldn't put that on our family. And I think Kevin didn't want to learn it from me. And he was able to find incredible mentors, just like I was, to kind of help us and guide us individually, which then I think with that guidance, once we kind of crossed those lines and it made sense, it was almost like a completely natural progression into working together.
So then tell me, when did that combination of you two as the Gladwell group, when did that happen?
So that was June of 21. June of 21.
June or July.
June of 21.
Okay.
And so, because I know it was June, because I was finishing up my 3rd contract with my team. And we were trying to figure out what it looked like. Kevin was still part-time. We were working from home. And it just, like we had been at home for so long. He was asking questions. I was helping him. And a lot of our business was starting to come together. So people were talking and having conversations with us both about real estate. And then it was like, how do we navigate this?
Yeah.
And so I was super fortunate in that my team leader said, no, go do this on your own. Like, you have done this. I've helped you. You've learned the process and you're completely capable of doing it on your own, which I think was a massive kind of springboard and a catalyst for us to have that confirmation of like, are we doing the right thing? Like, does this make sense? And so, yeah, it was June, because that would have been the end of my contract. And then Kevin went part-time, and we didn't really know what to do. We knew how to sell real estate. And so we're like, okay, we can find business, we can get business, we can provide for our family, and let's just go.
Yeah.
I think something, when I talk about Kevin being, super smart, one thing we made the decision of was like, when we had enough money saved to replace Kevin's salary at that point, like we were losing like great benefits. Like we were losing a lot of those things that you do have from a corporate job, a regular job. So we had to really prepare for those things and kind of walk through that and figure out what that looked like for us in our lives.
Perfect. So would you say the takeaway for our audience, let's say that somebody is, on the brink of potentially making a career shifting decision. What I'm hearing from you is, do it. Make sure it's the right thing. It's good to have some mentors in place, but also make sure that you have a plan in place. It's not just like this, off the hip, haphazard decision, especially when there's kids involved, right? Because that adds a whole layer of like responsibility.
Totally.
To do it right and to do it thoroughly.
Yes.
Definitely. Yeah. And I also think that she put herself in a good position to find those mentors. Yeah. So anyone who knows Aubrey, she's not a morning person at all. But I mean, she was waking up at 5 a.m. to go to masterminds with other agents and learn the business from them. And that's ultimately how she found who became her team leader. So she stepped way out of her comfort zone and she saw the growth because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like thinking of anything great worth having, doesn't it require that? Like, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm this like super wise person, but in my mid-30s, being able to reflect on any career decision or any leap of faith, like it always requires stepping out of that comfort zone.
I think it does. It requires like that ability to be uncomfortable with it because you're so used to like, whether it's like that consistent paycheck or like that regular routine. And so getting out of that and being okay with being that in that uncomfortable spot is challenging, and just kind of accepting that it's going to be uncomfortable. But I think it's also not really talked about like what that process looks like. Yeah. Like it was extremely uncomfortable getting up that early and going and meeting with people and learning like I did. It was very uncomfortable, but now you just see the 5 years later of it. And there's a lot of like the things that happen, a lot of like the beginnings and the starts and the gaining traction that is just, it's not seen.
It's overlooked. Yeah. I feel that like sometimes somebody sees the end of the story. Totally. They don't see all the chapters and the details that took place to get to that point, you know? So, okay. So this is a follow-up question that is actually not in my script, but it's one that I want to know from a mom's perspective. Do you feel that something about motherhood in any way like prepared you for that uncomfortable season of having to step outside of yourself? Like what elements have you seen how motherhood has mirrored your growth in real estate?
I think because like when you become a mom, like you've never done it. You're like, they're like, here's your baby. Best of luck. Can you click the car seat in? Right. Take it home. Like, and you're like, what do I do? Like, what am I?
Who qualified me for this?
Yeah, like who qualified me to do this? And so like as the baby grows and you're like, I mean, we've all the moms are like standing there. Are you breathing? Are you okay? Like we've all been there. And so when you notice like, okay, you've made it to like the first month or like now baby's sleeping, you're like, okay, like each step is challenging. And I feel like you're okay with that. Like each chapter and each piece of raising a child is kind of prepares you for it in a way. And not to say that you have to be a mom to run a business, but like, you're like, oh, I feel this, like what I feel in this uncomfortable feeling in my gut is what I have felt before. It's not so foreign to you.
Yeah, I feel that. I guess it's like, try to describe it like once you become a mom, there's just this like low grade discomfort that you live in.
All the time.
And I'm not knocking motherhood. I know like as businesswomen and moms, like we love our family so deeply, but there's just this like low grade, like you learn to live with that discomfort and it might be in the direction of like, you feel that imbalance. Am I giving my family enough? Am I giving my business enough? But like, there's just always this like little alarm kind of that we just learn to live with that also propels us to just, we're feeling a little uncomfortable anyway. Might as well.
Yeah, I'm already here. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it. Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Thank you. I'm so glad we see eye on that. So, okay, this next question, I want to find out how you guys balance each other out. So if I'm taking, for example, Miguel and I, like we are so different, starkly different, but in so many ways complementary to each other because so much of what I cannot do, he does naturally and vice versa. Yeah. I want to know for you guys, like, what does that look like? And how do you guys balance each other out? Kevin, we'll start with you on this one.
She keeps me grounded more than anything, to be honest. So to organize my day, everything is time blocked off. I mean, even gym in the morning, that's something that I do every day. I know it's happening. We write it into the schedule. Work-life balance has always been a problem for me, especially because I absolutely love what I do.
You can get sucked into it. So
I do get sucked into it regularly. So honestly, she helps me keep me balanced. If I'm walking through Trader Joe's, sending text messages or browsing houses on my phone, snaps at me, brings me back to reality.
This is family time.
But putting things in our calendar, we live by that. Thursday, we're going to Meow Wolf. It's our kids' spring break this week, as you know. We were talking about it, and we said we got to get them out to do something.
Yeah.
So living by our calendar is the main way that I'm able to separate that work time, that family time, and the kids as well.
It has to be intentional. Like if we were to leave it up to accident, it's not gonna.
I'm
not gonna accidentally be a great business person and a great parent.
Totally. Yeah. And I think like on my side, like I am the one, like I'm the one that's just gonna go. Like, and Kevin wrangles me back in all the time. He has a rule that if I'm talking about this, whatever it is, if I'm talking about it in 2 weeks, okay, now we're going to gain some traction. Because I'll just call him and be like, oh, we should do this, this, and this. And he's like, okay, but like, what does like A, B, and C look like?
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm the one that I'm like, I'll figure it out. Just throw me in the deep end. I'll figure it out. And Kevin's like, no. Like, you got to have like the floaty on the side.
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like? And so Kevin's very much like the one that I can come in with this grandiose idea, but he's really good at like putting it in place. And so it's interesting. I mean, we talk about our calendar. Kevin never had a calendar. Like never. And now for me, I'm like, your calendar is confusing to me. I don't look at yours like you don't look at mine. And so we've had to learn kind of like how the puzzle piece kind of fits together, which is an interesting journey. But we're very different. And so it almost works. Like not almost works. It does work, but we're so different that like you have these like two puzzle pieces that fit, that make complete sense, but they're clearly very different pieces.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm reminiscing on a reel that I posted last week talking about a mom's preparations in the evening that set the day up for success the next day. So I post this reel and I'm just talking about like the militant activities that I have to do every night: set clothes out, pack lunches, So Aubrey comes in, she comments on it, because there's a portion where I say, and you know, Miguel can just show up to the day and be like, so what do we got today? And she comments on it. She's like, that comment sent me over the edge. Like, but here's the deal. Here's what I want to say. Cause honestly, Miguel and I were laughing about it. Like, I'm so happy he's not like me in the sense, what if there's just two of us just walking around like, you know, military robots at night, like, kids, get your clothes together. Like, I'm so happy one of us is very chill because I wouldn't want two of me anyway.
No, it would be awful. It would be so awful.
Hard.
And I think it's like what that day and what that preparation, like we understand that what that preparation does for our next day, for the rest of the week, for the attitude of our family going into it to that next day, it's so important and it's so crucial. And we both play very different roles in it. Like Kevin doesn't get our kids dressed. Like, who knows what they would look like? At the same time, none of us would eat breakfast if Kevin didn't cook it. You know, so it's very different. And it's so funny because you kind of get lost in like, I'm the only one that's like this. And so when you see someone else being like, our military prep the night before, it's like, oh, we're not alone.
It is. But I do so much appreciate those differences, you know, because same. We all have our different roles, and I try not to apply like my expectations onto Miguel as far as like the way I do things. I don't want him to do them the same, you know? So I have to remind myself of that.
But did that take time?
Yeah, that totally. It's like, it's still taking time.
Yes.
Like as in like today, it's taking time.
Totally.
Just the conversations we have where I'm having to step back and be like, okay, let me appreciate him the way he is and not try to change him, you know, like just love him as he is, because he brings such an array of gifts that I don't have. And I want to appreciate that about my husband. But these are all things that they don't surface until you like work together.
Yes.
So there's also that element of it of like, you don't know what you don't know till you know it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So thank you guys. And it does feel good to just know that I'm not the only one walking in that navigational period, figuring that out. So, okay. This is where we're going to pivot a little bit to talk a little bit more about the real estate market locally. In case anyone is watching and you're not local, we are located in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the market has been very wild the last year. I mean, we have seen some crazy things happen. Honestly, every time I meet with the Gladwells, I love just like hearing all about like what's going on in the market, you know? So my question for you, and Aubrey, we'll start with you. What are you most excited about in this market in 2023 in Albuquerque, New Mexico?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great market. There's so much noise. We talk about the noise all the time, and you hit noise from so many different areas, whether it's on social, whether it's on the news, on a local level, on a national level, whether it's from your neighbor. Like, there's just so much noise that it's sometimes hard to kind of slice through and figure out what's true, what's not, what's, you know, maybe
fear-based.
What's fear-based. And so it's hard. It's really hard. But I think here that's so exciting is that we have so much opportunity. We have so much opportunity for people buying their first home, for people buying investment properties, looking to expand their portfolios. I mean, there really is so much opportunity. It's just trying to cut through it. And I mean, we closed a deal yesterday where, you know, this was a family that was able to add a rental property to their portfolio and move their family into a bigger home, you know, and you lose so much of that and so much of those great stories in the, we're, you know, having to bid against 12 other people, or interest rates are so high, or, you know, like you have all this noise, and it's really that it's there, but it's not a driving factor in our market. It really isn't. And we hear it all the time. You know, we still see a very competitive market. We have a lot of sellers that feel they missed the boat. Oh, you know, I didn't sell in 2021 when it was just crazy. Well, it's still extremely crazy. And I mean, Kevin can really speak to that over the last couple of weeks. You know, we still have things selling very, very fast. So it's an exciting time. I think we've kind of gone through the shock of, you know, let's watch interest rates. We heard let's watch interest rates for months. And now you know, by nature, you have people leave trying to buy or wanting to sell. You just kind of have that fall off. But now that the shock is kind of worn off, we haven't seen these major drops in interest rates. People are still going to buy and sell real estate. So it brings them back. It maybe adjusts their goals and adjusts their plans, but they're still going to buy or sell. And if you wanted to buy or sell, usually it's not going to change your decision to if you want to do that. So there's still a lot of opportunity. That's what's exciting about 2023, at least for me.
I love that. And just to kind of give some practical takeaways, if you are somebody who is in the market or you've been looking around as buyer or seller, what I'm gleaning from this is there's still a lot of opportunity. And it's working with the right person who can walk you through what is your objective about that.
Totally.
But the other part of that I love is that you've taken what a lot of realtors would probably look at as a major obstacle and you've turned it into an opportunity. And I think off the bat as well, a takeaway just as a business owner would be, hey, what areas in your world are you maybe looking at something as an obstacle and not acknowledging? Could there be opportunity for the business owner who looks at it the right way?
Totally.
Absolutely. Okay, Kevin, what about you? What are you most excited about in 2023?
She took most of my answer in that one right there, so I'll change it up a little bit. One of the big things that we've been working on is a few more events for client appreciation.
Oh, awesome.
So we love seeing all of our clients. We talk to them regularly. We want to do more for them where we actually get to see them more often.
Totally.
So
I love
we've
that.
been standardizing some of those. We've decided we want to have annual Easter egg hunt. And
Yay, so the Easter egg hunt is happening.
Easter egg hunt is happening.
we have a dining room table just covered in plastic eggs and candy right now. So it's happening.
500 eggs.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
Yes.
Yes.
So being able to catch up and see everybody a little bit more regularly is what I'm looking forward to for 2023.
Perfect. And what I'm taking away from that for the business owner watching is when you are willing to do different things that other businesses aren't doing, that's where you get a competitive edge because you guys are stepping out as realtors, doing something you wouldn't necessarily think would be a common practice, to gather your clients together, to, exchange network and leverage that as a tool. But you guys are actively doing that. So as a business owner, just think about what are the things that you could potentially be doing that are not typical. And if it's not typical, that's usually a sign to do it, because that will set you apart.
Yeah, well, and I also think it kind of touches on the fact that like these are our people, right? Like we have an expectation where you work with us, you work with us, you work with us. Well, what are we doing? You allowed us to work with you.
Yeah.
You know, you allowed us to either sell one of your largest assets or help you purchase a very large asset for yourself and your family. So how do we now take that and give back to the people that are giving to us and the people that want to work with us? And how do we take care of our people at a really high level?
I love that. That's wonderful. Speaking of your people, this is a question. We'll start with Kevin on this one. Who has played a role and been instrumental for you in your real estate career? This can be somebody locally. This can be nationally. Who has been instrumental for you?
Probably one of the biggest ones that I can think of is through Keller Williams, we have a program called Bold. It's kind of like how long is it? 8 week? 8-week clinic where one of the top coaches in the nation comes in and gives us a lot of wisdom during that time. But one out of Texas named Dusty Oglesby was by far, I mean, he gave some of the best advice we've ever had in our career. I think.
Dusty. Okay.
He gave us some mind-changing advice. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. So Dusty out of?
Somewhere in Texas.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. And Aubrey, how about you?
I think it's probably no surprise to anybody, but Jackie Staten, who was, I was on her team.
Yeah.
She would not say that. And so if she listens, she'll be like, but she was really instrumental to my career in real estate. I had one deal under my belt. It was what I thought was a crazy market, sold it, deal closed, and I didn't really know what to do. And so when he talks about this mastermind group, I'm like, the only thing I know how to do is get around people that are selling real estate. I'll just go learn from them. And I met with Jackie, and she was kind of growing at a pace that she was kind of hitting her ceiling. So her business wasn't growing. It was doing the same thing, same number of transactions. And she said she knew she needed to add a piece. And I'm like, well, I would love to just learn one side of this business and then grow to the other side. So she's like, okay, great. So her and I went through a really long kind of interviewing process. It took a couple of months. And after that, it just, watching her work and the way that she worked, and it was a family team too. So it was her and her dad. So I got that dynamic. I learned a lot there. But she was always very much like, no, you can do this. Like, I will help you. If something goes wrong, I will help you with it. But until that point, you are fine. And she went to bat in a lot of tough situations for me. And then when we got to that point, she was really the catalyst that said, go do this on your own. Go. And I was kind of working myself up to like have the conversation with her of like, am I still going to be on the team? And I was really nervous. And she just said, are you going to have the conversation with me? And I'm like, can you start it?
Wow.
Yeah. And so for me, and it's still like, we joke, she said, I'm going to take you off my speed dial this year. Like, that's my goal. And I'm like, you're still on my speed dial. She's still a major, major sounding board for me.
Yeah.
It's very different than having Kevin. It's having a different voice.
Yeah.
And I mean, she really has. She's changed, I think, the trajectory of both of us in this business.
Yay, Jackie. Okay, here's what I'm getting as a takeaway for that. Get you a Jackie.
Get your Jackie.
Everybody needs a Jackie. And I'm thinking about, the small business owner who is maybe trying to navigate these waters by themselves and they don't have a Jackie or a Dusty or somebody that they can go to get that wisdom when they need it. But what I'm hearing from you guys is it's important to find somebody who you can bring value to in some ways, but also allow that person to pour into your life and your career building and what's next for you. Because I think in this day and age, it's really, I think for maybe the millennial and Gen Z, maybe millennial, it's not so bad. But to go up to someone and just be like, can I learn from you? I think with the millennials, maybe we're still kind of willing to do that. But the Generation Z, that's where I feel like it would be like, what do you mean? Like, I just ask someone to learn from them and then like I just show up and what do I do while I'm there? You know, so I want to encourage somebody who might be listening who's never thought of that as a way to catapult their growth to consider it, because there's so much fruit on the other side.
Well, and I think, yes, I agree with you. And I think the piece that we sometimes have to remember is if we are going to step into their space, this is a successful business. This is a successful business owner. And like something I always tried to think about was like, if I'm going to step into your space, I have to provide you some level of value. Like, and I know that's kind of hard, like I don't know how to sell real estate. Like what value am I going to add? But like just figuring out, rather than just saying, okay, can I take you to coffee? And like, you're taking from their business, you're taking from their family, like, how can you add value back to them and come and meet them? So like I would do open houses for Jackie. Like, do you have anything I can hold open this weekend?
Yeah.
Do you have any vacant listings that I could go show? We used to do realtor tours where it's like a caravan of realtors and you go and look at houses. We kind of got away from that just because everything sold so fast. But, you know, and you'd be able to provide feedback. And I would ask her, you know, can I stay and hold one of your houses open? How can I provide value in some capacity for what you're going to give me in return? Which holding a listing open is so small to what Jackie, I think, has provided to us.
And one of the things that I thought was key with Jackie was she made her learn the fundamentals. It wasn't just go get on the phone. She had to write all of her own contracts. She had to do all of her own paperwork until she knew how to do it. And at that point, Jackie allowed her to hand it off. But she made sure that she had that base before she moved on to that point.
Yeah, so much of that I think is so important. Here's the other thought that's coming to mind for me. Like, I also want to put it out there to the audience. There are also business owners like us who, like, let's say that somebody in like an honest, earnest way came up and was like, can I just learn from you? Would you just spend some time with me? Here's the value I want to provide you. Yeah. There's also business owners willing to do that for the people who are willing to ask for it.
Totally.
And sometimes it is just asking, like, at this point, how refreshing for me would it be for someone to hit my inbox and be like, hey, here, I would like to do this for you. In exchange, I just want to learn from you. Yeah. But I just feel like those conversations don't happen anymore, because I would love to teach someone the fundamentals. And I'm sure if someone came to your doorstep willing to do that for you as well,
absolutely,
it would be there. So that, I hope that encourages somebody to like just write the message, just send the email.
Send it. Yeah.
Be brave, be bold, and it's likely on the other side you would be met with somebody who's willing to pour into you.
Totally.
The worst they can say is no, and at that point you find another mentor.
Exactly. And then you get a little thick skin of learning how to be okay with the answer no. Awesome, you guys. Okay, so this is where we're going to get a little bit deeper into your career experience. Aubrey, we'll start with you on this one. What has been your most challenging point in your real estate career? The lowest point?
The lowest point, I think, is, and I think it's probably advice I give to a lot of people, it's the traction in getting started. I think that especially over the last few years, what we do seems like we open a door and we cash checks. Like, and it's really part of the image that we've created and all realtors have created on social and what we project, and look at this house and look at me in my car, and like, so it looks almost easy, but that traction and getting started and getting someone to trust you to sell their largest asset in most cases, or to trust you that you're going to be able to not only help them find this home, but negotiate it at multiple spots and get it to the closing table. I mean, that's a 30, 40 day process. It's not just everything signed and we'll see you in, next week. There's a lot of steps that come into that. And so I think learning the conversation to gain the trust to then get yourself started.
Yeah.
It was hard. I mean, I questioned why I was doing what I was doing for a really long time. And I think Kevin just kind of was like, nope, like, just go.
We're doing it.
Keep going. And he would allow me to have my pity parties, because you got to get through that.
Yeah.
You kind of have to sit in it. But then he was like, well, what's next?
Yeah.
Like, go and find it. I was fortunate that I had someone that was like ready. Like when your license is ready to go, like come sell our house. And so for me, I was in a really fortunate situation. But when that closed, I had to figure out,
what's next?
what do I even do? What is selling real estate? So I think that was like the hardest. And
The
that was
lowest was the lowest was the beginning.
the beginning.
Okay, what one piece of gold nugget advice would you have to the person who might be looking to get started? And you're going to say, this is the one thing I would tell you to do.
Keep going. Just keep going. One, just push. I think you got to get, like we said, like getting used to the no. I'm like, great. If I know someone's going to hang up on me, someone's going to tell me no, someone's going to tell me not right now, I know I have to get through those no's to find my yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I'm like, okay, great, you hung up, I'm one step closer to my yes. You're not ready, but you'll be ready in 12 months. Great. One step closer to the I'm ready to buy right now, or I'm ready to sell right now. And so if you can some days are so hard and you call and you call and you call, or talk to people and you're like, oh, this is terrible. Just get up the next day and keep going.
At some point, there will be a breakthrough.
At some point, there is always a breakthrough.
Okay. Thank you for that. I think that will really encourage somebody. Kevin, how about you? What has been your lowest or most challenging point in your real estate career?
Definitely the first year as well.
Okay.
For any realtors that have gone through that one, they can tell you it's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was a little bit different because I was still working when I started full-time at my other job.
Okay.
So it was even a further uphill battle. You have to learn the business, learn about the contracts that are always changing, and at the same time, you have to convince people that you're the agent that they should use while you're only
learning.
part-time during that process.
Okay.
So that was definitely the hardest part for me along the way. We had the plan to move out. Like she said earlier, we just wanted to make sure we had a little bit of a safety net for it. But knowing that I wanted to go into real estate full time, but even building that little bit of a nest egg up along the way was difficult because I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I mean, remember the first time where I said I'm done with my corporate job, and it was our son's birthday, and he came in and I was on the phone and I had to shush him out of the room because of it, and said, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. And that was kind of one of the pivotal moments for you, would you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we get to make our own schedule now to an extent, but one of the things that I love about Keller Williams was, first time I walked into their building, they had one of the mottos there on the wall, which was God, family, business, where they said, you structure everything around God. Your church time needs to be on the calendar. Everything else, you fit in your family around it, and then you put your business after that. So
totally.
Values totally aligned with ours.
Yeah, I appreciate that because that's, for us, that's we try to keep that hierarchy in our world, and it's hard because sometimes one bleeds into the other, and it's not this like black and white. Sometimes it's gray, and so navigating that. But I like having that constant reminder because, once again, nothing is on accident. Like it has to take intentionality. You have to do it on purpose.
Yes.
Got it. Kevin, you said something that really was compelling to me. In the first year, when you are learning, but you are having to convince someone to work with you, even though you're not what you would call yourself as a full expert yet. So kind of experiencing some of that imposter syndrome, which I know we are all very victim to the imposter syndrome. What would you tell the person, whether it's real estate or something else, when they're in process, they're learning, how do you gain that confidence when you don't all the way have the knowledge? What is a practical step they could take?
For me, it's the people that you surround yourself with. I mean, you have to have the ability to say, I don't know, but I can find out.
I love that, yes.
I mean, you don't know everything going in. Your client would rather you be honest of that up front and say, I'm going to find the answer from someone who does. And at that point, you're giving them accurate information rather than a quick response.
Totally. And I also think sometimes people appreciate that more when you're willing to say, I don't know the answer, right? Versus fake it till you make it. Sometimes I think people appreciate authenticity and being able to say, look, I'm going to figure it out. And I kind of encourage this, even within our own team here at Mariposa, the fact that we have the internet at our fingertips alone being able to have, this searchability that, think about the generations before us didn't have that.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, they figured it out despite that barrier. So we try to say like, everything is figure outable.
Yes.
Yeah. And so for the person starting, you don't have to pretend like you know everything. Just be willing to figure it out.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you. So talking a little bit about your real estate success, how has social media played into that? I know, Aubrey, you sit on the board for a part of the local...
For our office.
For your office, yeah. Talk a little bit about that so that we can equip realtors who may be watching, or even just small business owners who want to understand the power behind social. How has that played into your success?
So it's been massive. And I think that one, kind of what you were talking about, and like this is the generation that's how we find our people.
Yeah.
Like if you want to work with us, my guess is you probably went and Googled us. You probably went, if you're like me, like when I'm sitting watching Shark Tank, I'm like, let me look them up. Mm-hmm. They haven't posted in a year. I guarantee they didn't get a deal. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I think our generation and generations coming up are going. That's where they're finding their people. You do still have that word of mouth, mm-hmm. but it's becoming more it's figuring it out yourself, right? Like I'm going to go figure out who might be a good fit for me. Or my mom might refer me to someone, but I don't necessarily think I want to work with my mom's friend. I want to find someone that kind of fits my mm-hmm. style, fits my maybe age, fits kind of the way that I interact and that I talk. And so giving us a page and a place where you can see us. And that was major for us when we'd initially started working with you guys. Like, we want you to see our kids. We want you to see our life. We also want you to know we sell real estate. We want you to know we'll give you the information you need to make those decisions. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to buy or sell? What does it look like versus renting and owning? Oh, also, like, these are our kids. Like, mm-hmm. because there's a good chance, like, one might show up at a showing, so it's just kind of already yes. our like world. And it's a way for us to, rather, like I always think about like a billboard and it's just like that one picture and your phone number or whatever. This is a way to watch us evolve mm-hmm. as kind of like a moving billboard.
Yeah.
And so I think it's huge. I think that realtors are learning that. I do sit on our agent leadership council for our office, and we get a lot of those questions. Like, what do I post? What do people want to see? We struggle with like, what do people want to see? Mm-hmm. But just trying to educate why social is important, what it can do for your business. And it's interesting, and he laughs about it all the time. Like, I have friends that I text and have one conversation with, and then like, we're on Instagram, like DMing about something completely mm-hmm. different.
That is true. And
it's like
guilty, absolutely guilty
yeah.
of it.
See, like, and you're having these conversations, and so people that maybe normally we may call or we may send a text, they're reaching out to us on Instagram and initiating those conversations there.
Yeah,
and it's almost just because it's out of convenience. How we're really a lot, especially our generation and the next generation, no one answers their phone. Yeah. They don't pick it up. But
like a little bit of anxiety when you get a call. You're like, either this is an emergency.
Yes. Or yes. And they're like, just send me a text or whatever. And so you're missing that ability. Like, if you don't answer my phone, maybe I'm missing an opportunity to help you. But if then you see like my Instagram, or you can see there, now you're top of mind.
Yeah.
You're on the top of my feed. That's where top of mind, and that's where mind share really kicks in too.
Yeah.
Is on that scroll.
Yeah. So it allows you to meet people where they are.
Totally.
Versus, hey, okay, if you want to work with me, I'm a phone person. I'm going to call you.
Yes.
Be available. I don't care if it's dinner time, you're with your family. But you're saying, no, I'm going to be the dynamic one.
Yeah.
If it's Instagram DMs, I'll meet you there.
Yes.
If it's text, I'll meet you there, kind of thing.
100%.
Gotcha. Kevin, how about you? How is social media?
I am the absolute complete opposite of everything that you guys just said there. So
that's okay. We welcome differing opinions, so please share.
The best way to put my social media exposure personally was 2021. The last post of the year I wrote, this is the year I'm going to have a New Year's resolution. And my New Year's resolution was I'm going to start posting on social media at least once a week. Wanted to share more of my life with everyone.
Yeah.
About September, August of 2022, I removed that post because I hadn't had a single one since.
It's so true.
Yeah, I'm more the phone call and text one. I like to call. I like to have that conversation on the phone and really catch up, which I don't feel you can do to the same extent over social media.
Yeah, understood. But you know what? What I do appreciate is as a team, this is where those complementary things come together. Okay, perfect. There's a way you do it that other people might appreciate. But also, if you're not the phone call person, fantastic. Kevin can step in that way.
Yes.
And, so I like that you guys have that balance with each other. And I think that for the small business owner who's listening, right, it's important to be versatile, right? It's important to be dynamic in different ways. But also, and I've been talking a lot about this on our channels, there's so much value in doing business the old-fashioned way that in some ways it's so antiquated that it's refreshing now when somebody is willing to like meet up or like make a call. So us millennials and Gen Z, we're working through the anxiety of talking on the phone. But I think that in a lot of ways, it's like the way snail mail is coming back because email took over. And now when you get something in the mail, right, this kind of like old fashioned thing, it stands out. So I like that you guys bring both of those aspects to the table. Yay. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to get into a couple of fun questions, you guys. We'll start with you on this one, Kevin. What's the best thing about working with your spouse?
Ooh. I was hoping he'd answer that quicker.
She's like, what is he about to say?
You might want to start with her. I'm thinking on this one.
Okay.
I'm thinking on this one.
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin John.
There's too many good things to name. I can't think of the best.
We'll give him some thinking time. We'll give him some processing time.
I think for me, my guess is Kevin will probably agree on this because we have a lot of conversations about it. But it's being able to build the life we want together.
Yeah.
Like I have massive goals and visions, and sometimes it's just like so big I can't kind of like wrap my mind around it. But the great thing is like now Kevin is like very aligned or kind of has to hone in some of those. But I get to wake up every day, create the life and the business that I want for myself, for my family, and I get to do it alongside my spouse. Like it is sometimes we get a lot of people that said I'd never work with my spouse. And so we're really grateful for the dynamic. But the vision and the goal is aligned. And so when you get to like grow that and with your person, with your spouse, I think that's the best. Like that's so the best for me. Yeah.
And kind of expanding on that for me is once we figured out where each of our lane really lied, that's where I think we're at our best. I mean, our longer term goals, she's going to be doing more of the running the team aspect of it, which allows me to focus on what I love doing, which is the actual going out, meeting with the clients, the selling of real estate aspect of it. I mean, she still does that, of course, but we have the plans in place for future growth because we're not going to be fighting over who's going to be running the team. I have no desire to do that. She allows all of that to be freed up so I can focus on what I love doing.
Yes. Oh, there's such wisdom in that because actually this was last week. Miguel and I were just having this conversation about what are the things that exclusively he is so good at, he enjoys, he has a natural God-given gifting in it, that he just is his best version of himself at work. And what are the things I have so that we're not attempting to overlap? Because what we're finding is that we have these elongated conversations about minor things that if we kind of just knew our place in the puzzle, we could probably like override a lot of those, we could probably like jump over to the other side of those decisions. They don't have to be these like daunting things. So we're navigating that and we're figuring that out. And I think what we could give our audience as a takeaway, if you are working with your spouse and that is something you're doing as a career, I think it is important to find out what is your place and what is your spouse's place. And in each role, esteem the other, like be the other's biggest cheerleader so that they can walk boldly in what it is that they're doing and don't, like for me, it's like, I step in, I step out, I step in, but like allowing each other
Yes.
to work in that way. Would you say that's a big
I agree.
thing?
I think something that we did really well in the beginning, because we had never worked together. We had never done this. It's not like we had done something else and then decided to get into real estate together.
Yeah.
It was really just like we dove into this. So something we did really well, I think, was we slowed down to speed up. So we slowed down to really get kind of hone in on what he was really good at, what I was really good at, what he wanted to do, what I wanted to do. And that takes time. It took time, and then went forward with it.
Yeah.
And it's not perfect. And I honestly will say I am way more in his lane than he is in my lane. Like I'm not like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out.
What you working on?
Yeah. Like, what are you doing over there? And so it's so hard to kind of separate that. But I think if you can slow down and then just clearly define, you're still going to cross. It's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
But just have that clear picture and then be their biggest supporter and be their biggest cheerleader.
Yes.
I think it's massive.
Gotcha. Okay. So kind of leading into the next question, which may be what you already said, but I want to hear it from the horse's mouth here. What's the hardest thing about working together? What's the most difficult thing? You need some thinking time, Kevin? I can go.
Not at all on that one.
Super quick on that one.
No, it really was that first year again.
Yeah.
Learning to work together. I mean, we were trying to get our systems in place and all of that while trying to sell real estate. I mean, I feel we have a much better foundation than we are now. And like she said, part of that takes time. It's just learning where her lane lies, learning where my lane lies, and figuring that was by far the hardest part of our first year.
So to overcome that, would you say acknowledging for our audience, acknowledging that things are going to take time? So for those who do have maybe those overnight expectations, adjust those early on, because you will be disappointed when things take longer.
Definitely.
So expect that they will kind of.
Communication, a little bit extra communication. I mean, when it comes to any major decision, we're consulting each other on that. I mean, whether it comes to finance, I mean, we know our expenses and we're on the same page on all of them. If it's a big decision, we take longer to make it. But
Gotcha.
I mean, leaving the little decisions where it's not a huge outcome either way, letting her make those decisions and I make them when it comes to my lane.
I like that. What about you, Aubrey, with the hardest thing?
I think the hardest thing is knowing when to turn it off. Because we're both high performers by nature, like we both want to just keep going. We just want to keep going. And then we're like sitting there and we're talking and we're eating dinner and then, work comes up or we're folding clothes and Kevin's, on his phone, and it's not bad, but it's learning to say, because everything blends, learning to say where this stops and where the next thing begins. And part of it is I just let it go naturally, because I do love that our kids get to see us doing what we do and building what we're building. So I do like for them to be able to see it and kind of be able to watch it. At the same time, like, we don't need to be doing a bath and being like, did you send that email?
Although it's hard not to when it comes to mind, to like, okay, let me shelf that until tomorrow morning.
Yeah, like shelf that till like 8:30 when everyone's asleep.
Yeah. So I heard this quote yesterday. I think it will probably resonate with you guys. It said, if you're winning at work and losing at home, you're losing.
Yes.
And I think that like hit me really hard. It's not like, oh, let me justify that my home is not at peace or my children are not covered right now for the sake of I'm advancing at work. And like that one just hit me. That's like, no, you have to be winning at home first. Yeah. And then the business stuff comes into play.
Yeah. And something I heard a couple of years ago was, I don't remember who said it, but like, there is not this idea of a work-life balance, like that it just doesn't exist. And when I heard that, and I heard that it's okay to put, when it's time for work, it's time to dump everything into work. And that's what I'm there to do. That's what we're there to do. We're here to work. We're here to be on the phone. We're here to do what we need to do for the business. And then when we're with the kids, and this is something we work on, or where it's just us, like, we got to put it all in there. And when I realized that was okay, I think it gave me some leeway to be okay with, I don't have to try and balance it all.
Yeah.
I don't have to try and evenly show up to everything at the same time.
It's an expectation you can't live up to
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's kind of like embracing your identity as a whole, as a parent, as a business owner, right? As people with, personal development and goals and things like that, and being able to say, and it's all going to bleed into the other. And in some ways where you can separate it, do that, but to give yourself different identities, then you're just trying to carry it around, and that gets super messy. Yeah, I'm learning that lesson the hard way this year. Okay, guys, we're going to end this podcast on a high note. This is a big question, so I want you to take off any blinders or obstacles or things that could potentially affect your answer. But I would like to know, assuming you had unlimited resources and unlimited support, what would be like your big mama jamma dream in life? Like the biggest dream that you have, the biggest vision for you and or your family, your business.
Do you want to go first?
I'm going to let you. I saw those eyes light up. I know where it's going.
And I love that light up face, because I just know there's just gold on the other side.
Well, and I think because you talk about it a lot. Like, I think you guys probably talk a lot about it too. It's just like where we're going and like the vision. And like, so for us, it's creating a very well-oiled, lean, mean machine. Like this business has each piece, and we kind of go back and forth about like what our team looks like, but it's being able to support teams to be able, whether we bring somebody on with our real estate team, but to give them the tools like I had. Mm-hmm. If your goal is to run your own team or to work as an individual agent, let us help you get there. Rather than saying, oh no, you're going to be on my team and you're going to be committed to me forever. No, I'm going to help you. I want to help you get to that place of whatever it is. So running a very well-oiled machine with like this really cool office, and like that's probably a conversation for another day. And then having multiple homes in multiple places, being able to take the kids and go different places and have so many just experiences with them. Mm-hmm. The experiences, I think, have changed my life with my family and the things that we do. We always go back to those. So being able to give those to our kids is just the goal for me.
Absolutely. So what I'm hearing, you want to build legacy for your family.
Mm-hmm.
You want to really set them up with a strong foundation. But in turn, the former part of your answer, you want to actually set other people up to build their own legacy.
Yes.
And help equip them to catapult them into their real estate career.
Legacy is massive for me.
Absolutely.
Absolutely massive.
Yay. Well, anything you need, you always know that we are here to support you in that. Kevin, what about you?
The financial freedom to make the decisions of what we want to do and it not being a financial decision.
Yeah.
So saying, for example, our vacations, we set our goals every year. And one of the things that's important to us is 2 vacations a year. We get one with just us, we get one with the kids in. So being able to get our business to the well-oiled machine point where we are able to do that, I guess this is the first year we are doing that. Mm-hmm. But like she said, getting it to the point of growth where we can do that for someone else as well. We've never had the desire to have this super team of 25 agents. We want to have a small, tight-knit team of agents that we want to work with. Reason why most of our business is done off of referral business is because of how close we are. We talk to our past clients very regularly, and I mean, that growth and having it all the systems in point to have that well-oiled machine allows us to do the things like talk to them and see them more often.
Absolutely. So you're creating these systems to buy yourself more time to go more in depth in the ways that you feel called to do that.
Absolutely.
As business owners. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, you guys, that was so encouraging. I learned so much, and I'm so happy that just as a woman who works alongside her husband, my spouse, in growing our business and our legacy and what we have as far as our family trajectory, I'm happy to know I'm not alone in some of those struggles. So thank you guys so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
Please make sure that you guys take a look at the Gladwell group on Instagram and Facebook. Also, while you're there, make sure to follow at Mariposa University and Mariposa Marketing Stuff. Also, make sure that you download the free social media manager guide at mariposauniversity.com. And until next time, thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you guys soon.